Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Power Platform Share. It's me, Belinda, down in the bottom corner, and I'm here with a whole slew of people. The two at the top, you guys are used to them. They're my co-host and my dear friends, Mr. Mariano Gomez. Hello, Mr. Gomez.
Hello, Miss Belinda. How you doing today?
I am
And hello,
doing
everybody.
awesome.
Thank you all for joining us. And we have some really cool surprises for you today. So,
Yeah, man. And then next to Mariano is our very dear friend from the West Coast, Mr. Steve Endow, like window. Hello, Steve.
Greetings, everyone. Thanks for organizing again. This is a great event.
Well, thank you very much. We also have with us a special guest. Who's our special guest, Steve?
Shannon Mullins is our brand new Business Central Business Apps MVP. So congratulations, Shannon. Yes.
Day 9.
Yeah,
Thank you
good
very
job.
much. Thank you very much. Very surreal. Still taking it in, which is pretty exciting. So,
Have you got
yes,
have you got your award yet?
I have not. I filled out everything, and then today I went and signed up for all the mailing lists. So Steve pointed me to mailing lists, so went and signed up for all of that. But it's supposed to be coming in the mail, so I'm very excited. I'll post a picture once I get everything.
awesome.
Since everybody on the screen is an MVP, guys, should we tell her how much mail she's going to get if she signed up for all of them, or should we let it be a
Yeah.
surprise?
Don't sign up for all of them. That's
Yes.
really a no-no.
Be
I
selective.
think one of the first skills you need as an MVP is to work out how to file all of the emails that come through.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's a good idea. Set up some rules and
You
some
gotta
tasks.
set up some rules.
Manage that.
And then
Love
it's
it.
like, it never happened.
And then, yeah, you got to remember then to go look through them because sometimes they'll call you out by name. And then the next thing you need to learn, NDA.
Mm.
Yeah, you can't. You're gonna learn all kinds of cool things, and you can't tell anybody.
Yep.
Well, at least I have you all to talk about it with, so that's exciting.
Only if we saw it with you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, if
Well,
you
you better sign up for all these mailing lists. Then.
if you attend something that we don't attend, you don't get to talk to us about it.
Have fun. We're all in it together.
That's right. And of course we have. So congratulations, Shannon. We're excited to have you here. And today we have some very special guests that I am super excited about because I keep hearing about it. And then when they agreed to come, I'm like, all right, I'm not going to look because I want to be totally surprised when I see. All the way from the UK, Mr. Rory Neary. Hello, Rory.
Good evening. Very happy to be here. Thanks for having me along. Really, it was really great to be invited onto the show. Genuinely,
Oh, great.
really great to be invited.
And are you in London?
I'm outside of London, so I'm not that far from Oxford.
Okay.
That's
cool.
awesome.
Cool.
Yeah.
And along with Rory is his esteemed colleague, Mr. Pieter Veenstra. Close
Yep,
enough?
Thank you.
That was that.
Yeah, that's all good.
That was like, that's close enough. Why didn't you say
It's more
it the
like
right way?
Veenstra.
Yeah,
Veenstra.
Veenstra. Peter Veenstra. You basically ignore the I, and then the surname. Well, if you can manage it, well, it's a good password. It's difficult to guess,
You know,
except for if you're from Holland, of course.
I misspell words all the time, and I've learned that a misspelled common word for a password is a great password because who's gonna who's gonna put an I in the word dog, right? Me. So yeah. So you guys are here to show us your power apps for kids. So why don't you show us what you got?
Okay. Peter, shall I give you guys a bit of background in terms
Yes.
of,
Yes.
of what it is? And
Yeah.
so, as of 3 months ago, Power Apps for Kids didn't exist. It wasn't a thing. It wasn't even. It was just maybe me just building stuff that nobody but a child would be interested in looking at anyway. But I've been building games and interactions, and I've And I've trained people across Europe as well on the Power Platform. And I don't know, maybe I'm an accountant by trade. So 4 years ago, I was working as an accountant. And I kind of wanted something different. And obviously, and then I got lucky in some ways from a technology point of view that I kind of rolled up round about the same time that Power BI was coming along. And then I kind of got myself an Office 365 tenant, and this thing called Power Apps popped up. And then I started using it. And as an accountant, Power Apps is like really, really amazing. It's like the thing we've never had before, the ability to have control and that sort of thing. And then I've been doing bits and pieces, speaking and so on. But it just occurred to me that Power Apps is just made for like kids to be able to, like, when we describe Power Apps for kids, we talk about it to the children as a multimedia platform. It's a multimedia platform. Nobody else uses it as a multimedia platform, but I do, and kids would, and they do. But also my wife is a French teacher, and what they do in school is they say, oh, teachers, well, what we'll do is we won't have an IT curriculum. What we'll have is everyone will teach IT in their lessons, which really translates to nobody teaching IT in their lessons. Mm-hmm. And then kind of harping back to and so there was some kind of juxtaposition between teaching loads of people and doing the accountancy, and I didn't feel like I was quite getting to the people I needed to get to. I was seeing so many people in business that were indoctrinated with Excel and so on, and I kind of felt that there was I'm not going to say an opportunity. I don't want to feel like it's opportunistic, but actually, like, when you think about, like, if you gave a child a crayon, they wouldn't start deciding how to use it, or they'll decide for themselves. They wouldn't, and I feel like with this platform, we have an opportunity for children to go into businesses, and obviously not children, but when they're older, to go into businesses and have the right skill set. And can you imagine how unusual is it that you can have a skill set using this platform that you could walk into a business and actually use? I can't think of anything. And then you think about in schools, trigonometry, not being funny, but I don't use it that much, And so I think it's a huge opportunity. And so I reached out to the community, and I got Daniel Christian and Reza Durrani came with me, and we did a show which was promoted by the Microsoft Reactor. And we had our first show, and then I also got lucky because Peter was watching. I'm thinking you probably were watching.
Yep.
And then he reached out to me, and it's kind of, I'm going to call it, say, snowballed. At least intellectually, it's sort of snowballed from there. So I think Peter, shall I pass on to you for a bit?
Yeah, can do. Basically, when I actually first saw the idea Rory had on Twitter, and found a couple of tweets, I go, whoa, that's an amazing idea. I've got two kids myself. One is 8 years old, one is 10 years old. And basically Power Apps changed their life a little bit. And they first I saw that tweet, and then of course you retweet it because, well, Rory, and you think, great idea. Contacted Rory and said, I can do something like that. And I think we should make this into a big repeating thing. And what I basically did is I recorded a little video with my two kids, creating a little sums app. It was really simple. You just had two numbers, you do the multiplication, and you have an equal sign, and then you've got to type in a number. If you get it right, you get a smiley face. If you get it wrong, you don't get a smiley face, an unhappy face. And it was really simple. It just shows you the basics of Power Apps development. And I thought, this is great to teach kids like that. So created that little video, showed Rory the video, and he went, whoa, that's really good as well. And this is where I think the first session that Rory did with the two guys mentioned earlier, they were showing us how they developed something for kids. But I quite like the idea of by kids.
Yeah.
So I had my 2 kids demoing that, stuck it onto Twitter, and lots of people liked it.
Yeah.
The amazing thing is 2 MVPs went. It got me into Power Apps. So I aimed it for the thing for kids, but actually it resulted in 2 MVPs now being introduced to Power Apps. And I'm sure there were lots more. MVPs seem to be a little bit vocal, a bit too vocal sometimes maybe, but they tell us what they're doing.
No.
All those other people, maybe we've got hundreds of thousands of people now playing with Power Apps. They're all doing these little sums. You never know. Could be. They just haven't told us yet. So yeah, I think that was already a great thing. And then for the second session, we, I think, did something amazing. I mean, we're all MVPs. When you do a demo, do you do a demo and develop from scratch whatever you're going to demo? A lot of MVPs, they create little videos or screenshots or whatever else. I got my 8-year-old to do it, and 10-year-old, both of them, to do a demo in their bedroom with my laptop on a little desk. They were sitting behind a little desk. I was leaning a bit behind them. And they were then showing us how to create a noughts and crosses game. And I thought it was amazing. I've seen many MVPs not daring to build up from scratch.
It was, honestly. His son, his 10-year-old son, described global variables as he was doing it. It was honestly, I reckon at some point we'll go back to that and we will pick up those sound bites as he describes what's going on, because it was like, for me, that was one of my greatest Power Apps moments. Was actually, it was like, yeah, it was like, because obviously I was thinking, yeah, kids could do this, but I wasn't really seeing kids do it. But actually I saw a 10-year-old. So for me, there's a light bulb moment to say, do you know what? You know that thing where I thought kids could do it? I was sure kids could do it. Well, the great thing was that Pieter was able to actually demonstrate children actually building something that I literally, obviously apart from that other video that you guys had done, and they did it for 25 minutes. They did a presentation for 25 minutes, and they were 10 years old and talking about, and they would jump in between. They did it as like, when you baking a cake or something like that, and you kind of do the mixture, and then you kind of got to put it in the fridge for a bit or whatever it is you do, and then you take it out 25 minutes later. And so they did a kind of like, and now we're going to jump to this bit, and now we're going to jump to this bit. It was and then they took it out the oven, but it was really like, it was really, really good.
So shall I show you what we created? I've got the game ready on my screen. If you want me to, I can do a screen share.
The floor is yours, guys.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
good.
You have me captured. I mean, seriously, this is awesome.
I'll quickly get my screen. Let's tap on over there. Okay, I will be looking away a little bit, but you can see over here my screen. We all recognize Power Apps, I think, over here. Mm-hmm. And basically what I did is we created a simple game. So what we first did is we showed the end product. My 2 kids, they showed the end product. And what we did is we had one player who's the cows and the other player who's the bunnies. Okay, we've got to make this look good and nice and playful and kind of thing. And so what we did is you can just, I got to run them first, of course. See, my kids did a lot better demo. They would basically know how to do these demos, where to click and whatever else. So they click over here, click over there, click over here, click over here. And the cows won because they get a nice happy face. And it doesn't matter how you get the 3 in a row, you will get that happy face. And by demoing the end product first, people straight away have the idea, this is what we're aiming for. But the difficulty with when you try to develop Power Apps, and this is where we're aiming at the kids kind of thing to be able to understand it. But I actually think that if you teach kids, you should teach adults the same kind of way. You shouldn't go create this big building where you should start off with the little bricks, and that should create your house. So what we basically then did is, they started on a completely empty app. See, I'm an MVP, so I'm scared. I wouldn't dare creating an app completely from scratch. But my kids did. So what we did is basically we created one button over here, and all the variables that we had and all the bits of code that that we needed to look at. They just typed it in as we went along. And they just did that, basically. So what we did is we created one button, and then we said, and now we've got version 1 that we want to create, and we're creating 9 of these buttons. And they didn't create all the 9 buttons. So we had there's basically a television program in the UK over here called Blue Peter. And what they do is they create things, and then they go, okay, this is what we prepared earlier. So you can basically cut out all the boring bits. We could have created one of these buttons and then dress it all up, create 9 versions of it, and then you will lose the crowd because it will just take too long. And what we then did basically is this game. It's very, very simple. If I play this game over here, and you can see it's just the X's, the noughts, and the crosses.
And what do you
There's
call
no
this?
happy
What do you
face.
call this game in the UK?
Noughts and crosses.
Yeah,
so zeros.
we
and
call it
X's.
tic-tac-toe.
Yep, that's the American version of it. But the game is the same.
Okay, keep going, Peter. I'm sorry.
Yeah, the game is definitely the same. So we basically started with the X's and the zeros. Very easy to develop, very easy to put together, and wasn't too complicated. And then basically we created our second version. And what this did is it does the same thing again, and it does the happy faces. And it will have happy faces all over the place depending on where you win. So we can make it slightly. Oh, there we go. Have a happy face. So putting all of this together, there's quite a bit of logic in it, but you want to skip those bits. You want to keep the demo quite nice and short, and you want to make sure that it all is easy to understand. And I think this is what you should do with adults as well. When they first get introduced, to Power Apps, it needs to be simple. Like Rory was saying earlier, it needs to be something that they can grasp and they can go, I can do that. And that's where the magic happens. If I look at my kids, basically, they develop all sorts of apps now. I see my youngest son. He walks through the house and goes, "Hey, that's a Power App. I can create a new Power App for whatever it may be." And my oldest goes the same kind of way. "Oh, I need to make this, but I need to make sure that my other son doesn't first develop it." So it becomes a bit of a race and a competition. But
Can you
that's
show
great.
us? Can you show us the code for the happy face?
Of course I can. Let me escape out of that.
So I think building up on what Peter's saying is that, parents are just as scared of this platform as, children are less scared of the platform, but parents need to be. I kind of feel, I just have this idea in my head of like, if you're in a forest and there was like a deer in the forest, it's like the parents of the deer. The kids are probably like the little baby deer and they'll just kind of trot up to you maybe, but the parents are like, whoo, and even sometimes I'm like that as well. So I'm not saying that we are dumbing down things for the parents or anything like that, but I think we're trying to make it kind of accessible and not scary, because it can be scary sometimes when you've got, sometimes depending on how you present it, it can be scary.
Well, there are a lot of citizen developers like me. And when I define citizen developer, I'm not talking about just a user. I mean, this is somewhere between a power user and a non-pro developer. So, but you're exactly right. They need to know that there's no fear in this. And Peter, you're right. Kids have no fear. My granddaughter, who's 9 now, when she was 6, she was using my husband's computer, and we walked in and she had the console open, and we both about had a heart attack, and we said, "What are you doing?" And she goes, "I didn't like the color, so I hacked in and changed it." And we're like, "Oh my God, you're 6. This is wrong."
That is probably wrong. Doesn't happen in my house, I can tell you.
But I think what calls my attention from what you just described was the fact that now your kids can truly identify a problem and really find a solution that they can frame within our Power Apps. That's even more impressive than just building the app itself. just that ability to recognize something as a problem and actually wanting to put a solution around it is more than anybody else can ask. I mean, that's just impressive.
Amen. That's
Yeah.
for darn sure. That's for darn
Well,
sure.
if I can hook on to that, basically, one of the things that my 8-year-old created, he basically, like I said earlier, he just creates new apps, and he goes, "Oh, I really like that." And so basically, what he did, and I'll quickly drag another browser screen onto my screen over here. He basically had a problem. Which cuddly toy do I pick tonight to sleep with? And what he did is he created basically this little app. I'll stick it in play mode over here, and it's got one button over there. Choose your cuddly toy, and you click on it, and it's got a cuddly toy there.
Brilliant.
And
So-
you could choose another one if you didn't like that one, and you get a different one.
Brilliant.
Oh.
And that's great, isn't it? So you find that they basically just create the apps as they go along, because they had a problem. I can't pick my cuddly toy.
Yeah.
And they created some photos of lots of their cuddly toys, and then the app picks a random cuddly toy. Isn't that great?
It's lovely. Oh my gosh.
And,
More
and it
more
just-
than anything else, it embodies the citizen developer's concept, right? You see a problem,
Yeah.
and what you have is a set of powerful tools that simplify and abstract all the hardcore development out of it, and to solve a problem. And that's kind of the whole beauty of this platform overall, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. We were talking this month about Appian versus Power Apps, and some of these more coded type platforms that people are building apps on, and the conversation got down to why Power Apps over anything else, and it really is that citizen developer, easy to use. This is great now because I can tell clients, even if kids can do it, you can do it.
Yeah.
You don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure out how to build an app. So it just opens the world for coding and learning the basic concepts of coding for so many more people that, Belinda and I, we probably never would have tried to touch code 10 years ago. I would have never touched dexterity or anything else that we were coding on. But for this, it's just so open and inviting to kind of build your concept. So I think that's a great, part of it. And the second thing I just want to reiterate is my son's in high school, and, my other son's going into middle school, and they offer computer classes, which I'm really not really sure what that means nowadays. But, to bring this into even the US schools where they're teaching computers and outdated concepts like typewriting, to me, if my kids learn this, they're so much more ahead of, the game coming out of high school than they would be just going into a regular college. So I think this is really great what you all are doing. I mean, I see so many, kids getting really excited about this, and just the vision that Microsoft had for citizen development. It's pretty cool.
And even beyond the step, to go back and touch on what Mariano said, even to go beyond the step of they have this skill using this particular product, one of the most powerful things besides it making me cry that the Which Cuddly Toy Do I Use app did was, it's like he thought, okay, I have a problem. How can I solve it logically? And what would that solution look like? I know I'll take pictures of each of the cuddly toys and I'll let it decide to do something random, because beyond computer skills, I mean, that is a life skill that most humans, adults that most, I don't know any non-humans, but except for my dog. I don't know.
You never know.
There's still
Well, there's
some out
always
there,
Steve.
Yeah. But most adults I know do not have that capability to be able to do that kind of reasoning, and so it's like it's not just this obscure thing that nobody can solve. Nobody can solve the problem of how do I decide which toy to snuggle with tonight. It's I have a plan. This is how the decision will be made, and I even have the veto ability. If I don't want to snuggle with the duck tonight, I can choose again and get the porcupine. I love that.
Yeah.
Love it.
And one of the big factors I think with Power Apps, if I want to develop something, I know how to do it, but it is literally several hours of just setup just to get my base Visual Studio project set up, to get the configuration, the environment, the database connectivity. It's hours of setup, and it's an impediment. You know, if you want to go do something, and every time you want to go do that, minimum 4 hours to get started, that's an instant barrier to entry. Whereas if a kid can sit there and start drawing squares on screen, no setup, no hurdles, no overhead of that project, that is a huge, huge difference.
And even if you're not doing any database project, like, you know, for example, this X and O's game, right? Just think about if you had to deploy this thing, if you had to, you know, think about security of who's going to access the application, all that in itself becomes an entry barrier to any type of development. Now kids are doing this thing without even thinking about it, thinking about any of those barriers that we pro developers need to think about.
And user interface design, that's another entire universe of challenge when it comes to traditional development. Getting graphics to appear, handling user interaction between the different controls, it's very, very tedious and time consuming. So to the extent that Power Apps helps just automate that and take out the hassle, it's a big, big win.
See, you blew us away in the first little demo. Oh man, that ugly toy one, that got to me. I almost started crying on that one. That was just so sweet.
I want to see how that extends, like when he's 18 years old and he's down at the pub and he's trying to work out whether he should have a gin and tonic or a martini or a... it's got,
I like it.
Yeah, you can tell we're talking to Brits. When he's 18 at the pub. No.
Hey, guys, I have a question for you. So this initiative that you guys started 3 months ago, correct me if I'm wrong, you know, you've done a couple of episodes. Where do you see this going? I mean, how do you plan in, you know, mass market, to use some word, this initiative of yours? How do you plan to extend it beyond just our circle of MVPs and your families?
I guess the first thing to say is I think one of the things that we want to do is have a mission statement, and we will get to that. I think if we do have a mission statement, it will go something along the lines of empowering children to do more. Now, we will be Power Apps focused, but it's going to be every child on the planet to do more. So in my mind, it is a kind of an extension of Microsoft, but it may be written in our own words. But the idea will be, and but it'll be kind of parents, teachers, and children. I kind of have to. Like if it was just for children, like we know that actually if we just got our child to land on this platform, they will not be able to be successful with it without the support of their parents. And so we need to make sure that we are bringing, because the thing is, the parents are going to look at this and think, oh, is that the same thing I've got at work? And you go like, yeah, that's the same thing you've got at work. Well, couldn't I do this? And you can have this. And one of the reasons why now is a good time for this is because, let's be honest, we are in a very unusual situation where parents are at home with their children to a significant degree. I mean, almost, you know, it's mind-boggling the amount to which, they're probably just behind the door there, aren't they? Yeah. Well, they're over there for me. But yeah, so in terms of where it extends, one of the reasons why this is a really good session is because I want to invite all developers that wish to be involved in this to come to this and help build, I'm going to call it in inverted commas, projects. So I have this idea of a project, and a project is made up of skills, and those skills could be the visible property or the length property or shuffle function, whatever it might be. So you've got a whole suite of projects, some of which are easy, so call them level 100 or whatever you call them, and some will be much harder. And that there's actually a kind of a continuum of the younger children doing the projects, but then you've also got maybe children that are kind of 17 or 18 years old. Well, there's no reason why they can write the projects. Why not? But there is a guiding principle of simplicity, and so my message to developers is please come, but come with simplicity. So Einstein said, go as simple as you can, but no simpler. And it's really, really important that whatever it is we do as a project, it is not there to demonstrate how much we know. It's to permit those people that consume it to be successful. And in answer to your question, what does success look like? Success looks like this perhaps being the place to go to. It means it's a place that's safe for children. It's it's a kind of, and people feel, and also in my mind, it's not something that people specifically associate with me or even Peter, because it's just Power Apps for Kids. It's like if you want to do something, that's great, come along, but with a focus on quality. I don't want junk in this place, because junk is just going to be a bad experience for the children. And so, it's, sorry, quality.
Yeah. Are you looking for content, or like video content and ideas? What are you looking for? So if the four of us here with you two today are super excited about it, and I could tell Steve has two young girls about the same age as Peter's boys. Mariano also has a teenager like Shannon. I have a 9-year-old granddaughter. So if we were wanting to get interested in it, what are you looking for from us or from anybody else?
So in my mind, a project is made up of one video or blog post about how you build the thing, and a series of videos probably which support that, which describe each of the functions and so on, because you don't want to spend too much time describing the functions, and every time you do about global variables you tell them all about I don't want to do that. I want to just say, well, no, we've already done a video on global variables, we can just reference them there, that's been done already. So that means that developers can focus on that bit that they want to do. And so, for example, when we've got a session next week, and I know that the shuffle function is coming up, I know that there's a number of other functions that are coming up. So what I'll try and do in advance of that will be to create so if you look on the channel already, we've got one project that I would say is described in full, a project plus all of the constituent parts. But I don't think the developers have to do the constituent parts. They just have to do either a video or a blog post, which is something that we can then make available to people.
Did Daniel Christian do Lego stuff?
He did a little Lego stuff, but what he did was he did a really ironically, he did actually use trigonometry to have these the planets going around the sun.
Yeah, I've seen him do that one. That's pretty cool.
I think he did 3 actually. Yeah. He did. I'm pretty sure he did 3, and I know he did his Lego one.
So Mariano, that means he beat you and I at a competition showing what he built with kids.
Yep, probably.
Apologies.
Makes me feel worse.
But it's so important.
So, I don't take losing too well. Let's put it that way, Belinda. So, Peter, in your estimate, how often do you guys meet to discuss the different projects, or do you guys have any other, um, I guess, plans of building this out for schools or for your local communities? I mean, how do you guys intend to expand this
Well,
opportunity that you have?
we've got our basically we started off with sessions every 2 weeks,
Hmm.
but that becomes really hard when you're setting everything up. You've got to create a website. You've got to get your Twitter stuff in place. You've got to whatever other stuff you need to do. Running these sessions every other week and marketing them, if you want to call it marketing. I think marketing is the wrong word in this case, but to publish it and tell the world about it. If you do all of that, it becomes really difficult. So we've now started doing basically on a monthly basis. So that's our monthly meetings where we've got friends, connections, or whoever else wants to talk about stuff. And they basically they fill our sessions pretty much. So the next session that we've got planned, we've got someone talk over there who saw what we were doing, and then she basically said, "I've got a couple of games." Well, actually, she published a couple of games on Twitter, and I said to her, "You might want to go and present that during the next one." And she went, "Okay, that's good." And this is how it grows, basically.
Yeah.
And
Who is that? Who are you talking about?
Michelle
Michelle
Wong. Yeah, Michelle Wong. She's basically from the Netherlands, and I know she presented in Scotland last year, and does present in general. So she's comfortable with those kind of things. And she decided to hey, I'm creating some apps, and I can show them. And she does lots of little games. I think in the last month and a half or so, I've seen at least 2 or 3 of these games that she's published, and shows us on Twitter what it's all about. And I think that's really, really good. And if I take that, where are we going to take this further? I could quite well imagine that we go into schools. If schools want us, then of course I'm happy to go into schools and teach the whole classroom. Okay, but it's still in lockdown at the moment because of the COVID situation.
Sure,
of course.
sure.
As in, the classrooms aren't full yet, and I'm sure they wouldn't want any guests to turn up at the moment. But once that's all cleared up a bit, I'm sure going into schools. But we could even do this remotely. I mean, we can do it through Teams. Yeah. And if I take this a little bit further, is that you saw the game that my boys demoed. One of my sons basically he told the teacher about this, and then the teacher said, "How do I install this?" So we exported the app and we emailed it off to them, and my son gave all the instructions. I think 6-7 steps or something like that. And this is what you have to do. And actually, the teachers, they already had Office 365 as part of their school. So it was very easy. And she played around with it and said, "Oh, this is really amazing." I mean, you never know what that starts off. And I think the difficulty is getting in contact with the schools and getting schools to contact us back and get that interaction going. I think once we've had a couple of schools and they tell each other, "Oh, those Power Apps for Kids people, they're doing really amazing stuff." And then we get people all around the world joining us. I think then before you know it, we'll have lots of schools involved and lots of kids involved.
Have you involved Brian Dang at all, or had any conversations with him?
I've had a little chat with him. I'm sure he's on our list of future speakers.
Yeah.
Okay, that's
sure
awesome.
He will be.
Yeah.
He's one of the great guys, I think.
Yes.
I don't know if he teaches Power Apps at school, but I would definitely recommend it.
Well, he, when he was a teacher, he developed apps, school bound, but I would be shocked if he didn't develop some around learning. I'm almost positive he did. He did do some with like sharing libraries where every teacher in the school could enter the books they had in their room so they could create a sharing library internally. I know that's one of the ones he did, but I'm almost positive he developed some learning apps as well when he was his time as a teacher. So you should nab a hold of him, and education is his passion, so he would be pretty good at that. So, my mind is swirling. I can't. Lily's here this week.
It's hard not to keep your mind going at it, right? But gentlemen, we really appreciate you joining us on the show today. And now we're going to turn our attention to Miss Shannon Mullins.
Wait a minute. Rory's got a 5 minutes to wow.
Oh, does he?
Yeah.
Would you like me to? Okay. Okay, I'll share my screen.
I'm pointing. Can everyone see where I'm pointing? I'm pointing at Rory.
Oh, yeah, right here.
Yeah.
That's him right here.
Okay, so I'm going to just build it's going to be a super simple app. But this is part of that idea of 5 minutes to wow. But I'm going to keep it super quick, super simple. I'm just going to do text input. I'm going to text input here, pop it in. Then I kind of like this. Is all about sign language, by the way. So that's the direction of travel of this. What I'm going to now do is I'm going to insert a gallery. Now it's a vertical gallery. And what I'm going to do with that, I'm about to use one of my favorite functions in the world. And one of my favorite functions in the world is actually the split function. Have you guys heard of it?
No.
Yep.
No? Split is one of the best functions going. So split takes a piece of text and splits it according to a delimiter. Now, so text input to dot text. Now what it does, it splits that text according to a delimiter. Now, but if you don't give it a delimiter, as in if you give it quote, it actually just splits the text completely. Now, what that means is that in terms of this, what we're looking at here, if we stick in like a text label in there, then we can actually see that we've actually got, if I just make this writing a little bit bigger, 40 or something like that, you can actually see that we've now got a gallery with text input in. Now that's not the wow bit. The wow bit is when we then say, well, actually that's interesting, but what can we do? What can we do with this to make it a bit more interesting? And we can kind of do this sort of thing here. And actually we can take it and we can actually we can put a wrap on it. So that means it's going to actually, that's not quite what I wanted. I want something a bit more like that. And remember, this is supposed to be for sign language. So I got together with my niece. She does sign language, and so she knows all the letters of the alphabet. So what I'm going to do is going to pop an image in here. And what I've done is on GitHub is I have got GIFs of all of the letters of the alphabet. Wow. So what that means I can do is I can go and grab this here and pop it on. And I've just got a little bit of, I'm not even going to call it code, but essentially that is my 5 minutes to wow.
Wow.
I am wowed.
That's impressive.
Once you separated it, I
fantastic.
knew you were going to do that.
So cool.
And, oh
Wow.
my gosh, I love it.
Wow. That's phenomenal.
That is. Oh my gosh.
So is that cool? And my son did the GIFs for me. So she did it on the GoPro. Now and so we put it into Camtasia. He split it into the she split it into the different GIFs and put the the letters on it and all that sort of stuff. I mean, I when I looked at it, I just thought it's just amazing.
I am blown away.
Rory, it's not 5 minutes to wow, though.
How long
I
did it
think it
take?
only took about 2.
I am totally blown away. I know I've had those conversations like at the MVP summit with people who didn't speak English using Google Translate. But that opens everything up amazing. That is just lovely.
Very clever.
Yeah.
Very
Very,
cool.
very clever. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
It's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah,
So So just make sure that people can either find us on Twitter. Everything is Power Apps for Kids. Found us on the YouTube channel. Reach out to us, and the site is going to get better and better as we go along and build out more of these projects. It'll start to make more sense as we go along.
Yeah, I'm excited. I've got to start thinking of something. Quick. So yeah.
No, take your time.
No. Lily's only here this week, so I gotta grab her tomorrow. Make her build something amazing. With me. Yeah, because she's a little rock star. So and
all you need to do is, if you do something and you send us the MP4, whatever, I can get my son to chop it and all that sort of thing, top and tail it, all that sort of thing. You just do the hard work of building something cool with someone.
He's gonna tuck and tail it. Is that what you said?
He'll put the Power Apps. He'll put the intro on and put the thing at the other end, so that you end up with something that looks a bit more professional.
Okay, I have to ask you something, Rory. It was more than a year ago. I was watching a session with John Levesque on Power Automate, and somebody was on. I think it was with him, and they talked about creating flows to remind their mom to take.
It was me.
Take their pills. That was you, huh?
Yeah.
That always stuck with me, because you didn't call it pills. What did you call it? Take your
tablets.
Take your tablets, Mom. Take your tablets.
That's great.
Yep.
And then I upgraded it, and every day she got a random proverb, and then she stopped taking the tablets. Then she got a random proverb every day, translated into 2 different languages. It was really cool. She still gets them, I think.
Yeah. See, I get. So, what about Power Automate as part of Power Apps for Kids?
We are so early in this. I'm kind of thinking of that deer in the forest.
Oh, gotcha.
That actually, if we kind of,
So you have me so excited. I want to take on the world.
I think. Yeah, so I'm conscious of time, and that we're taking time away from everyone else. So I could talk about this forever, but I'm conscious that we probably need to also cover everything else.
Well, you've motivated me for sure. That's for darn sure. I'm excited. And that app that Daniel showed you with the planets using trigonometry to. For the planets rotating around the sun. It was funny because in that competition, Mariano and I also had space themes. Mariano did 3-dimensional. Well, they weren't rockets. What did you have? 3-dimensional. Like the space robot?
Star Trek. Yeah, the
Star Trek
ships.
Yeah. And I had like Spot the Space Station, a Power BI. That would automatically refresh and tell me which days were the best days and where I could find this space station going overhead. We're a bit geeky, all of us. Anyhow, guess that goes with the job. Okay, so let's. Why don't we do something for Shannon and everyone? Maybe all the other new MVPs and the MVPs wannabe. Why don't we each give her advice as a new MVP, and then for those who might be listening that want to be an MVP, why don't we give them some advice? So 2 pieces of advice. One for someone who wants to be an MVP. One for someone who's new like Shannon. Besides what we already laughed at her about. Yeah, you got to watch the number of emails you get.
Oh, I can start off.
Okay.
I'll start off. Okay, Besky, once you are an MVP, make sure you find other MVPs. I think it's almost the biggest job we've got. The presenting at big conferences, we all enjoy it. We enjoy having a room full of lots of people. And when the numbers go up, we go, yay, it's even better. But I think the important thing is to recognize all those people in user groups that you support or something like that. And find the new people that that would like to speak, they don't always speak up, and that makes it really difficult. If I look at it, just a simple example is that this year I was part of the big Flow conference that John Levesque organized, and I was in the committee selecting the sessions. We could have selected all the famous people that everybody knows and everybody wants to view and whatever and watch, but that doesn't grow the community. It's very important to get a mix of people and recognize the people that don't do anything. And I think for all the people that aren't an MVP yet and would like to be, I would give the advice: don't try too hard.
Yeah,
and that's a full stop.
That's a good one.
To all the people who are trying to become MVPs, there's no magical formula for it. Ultimately, it's a mix of things. It's a mix of events, and you perhaps don't end up getting the MVP at the end of the day. So, what I like to say is be an MVP without the award, right? So, make sure you're working with the community, and that is something you enjoy, a true passion. The rest will just fall into place. For newly existing MVPs, newly minted MVPs, this is just the start of the journey. Really, it takes the same passion that you used to become an MVP. It takes the same passion to keep and remain an MVP. It even takes more effort, because now you're competing with those who are coming behind you. So keep in mind that we're not getting any younger, so the effort is twice as much every year, and in reality, just keep enjoying it. Don't make it a chore. It's not a competition. It's not a race to the bottom. So just keep up the good work. You're already
and
there.
Enjoy the bounce.
Yeah.
That bounce you've got at the moment, Shannon, keep that. And
Yeah.
Because that first few days, well, that lasted quite a few years, but that's important. Keep it.
Yep.
That's good advice. I like it.
So, Shannon, tell us about your journey.
Wait a minute, we got a couple more people. We got a couple more people. Steve and Rory haven't said.
Well, I guess I would agree that there are people who say, I really want to be an MVP. And I would reiterate what you guys have shared, that wasn't the journey that I took. It was, I find this particular area very interesting. I'm going to write about it. I'm going to answer questions and help people, and find what you find, identify things that you find interesting and that you like, and pursue that. And there is no formula, as Mariano said. It's, I happen to be into the development and integration and the technical aspects. And so I made that my area of expertise. And so write a few blog articles. They don't have to be Pulitzer Prize winning, articles. Just, hey, I thought this was interesting. I ran into this problem and I solved this situation. Write about it. And, 1 page, 2 page blog post. And pretty soon you're going to have 100 posts. And pretty soon you're going to find your own posts in Google search results that you completely forgot about, which I know we have all done. Mm-hmm. I do that regularly. So that's when you know that you're having a good time. When you find your own blog post in Google search results, hey, you've accomplished something. So pursue that. And for a new MVP, man, I'd say one of the challenges, there are so many opportunities. It's both a challenge of taking advantage of those opportunities that you can, and also just not overdoing it and killing yourself with all those opportunities. Like the email we mentioned, you're going to have to filter those emails. You're going to want to go to all those PGIs and all those meetings, and you're going to have back-to-back meetings. So just take advantage of the opportunities, but just pace yourself.
Yep.
Okay, so I'll kind of chip in. Lots of similar things. For those people that want to become MVPs, look, just be a community member. If someone wants help them. if people don't know that you're helping someone else, it doesn't mean that that's not good help. It's just that other people don't know about it. If it's going to happen, it'll happen. I wrote a book called Thinking Out Loud, and essentially that's what got me to start, doing these videos and so on. It's just a way of me remembering stuff for myself. And then for the I'm going to say newly minted, which I'm still one, I'm just kind of saying, look, don't change, just that's your road, like that, and don't play to an audience, just do what kind of feels right. I think that, look, I'm a citizen dev. I just kind of like I have all of that sort of imposter syndrome and so on, which probably a lot of people have anyway.
Yep.
But just look, if you think, oh, that's interesting, I didn't know that, well, just tell people. Chances are they probably don't know either. So I've just
I did that with you guys before this started. Hey, look what I found in Bing, and and then you guys, they've said one of the things, and one of the things that really it's about. It's not about an award we get. It's about the people we get to help, the people we get to spend time with, like each other, and some of the Microsoft people. That's to us what being an MVP is about, and you have an extra challenge because there's not enough women, there's not enough diversity within the Microsoft space for MVPs. And this is one of the things, you're part of Steve's own personal initiative program. When he attended MVP Summit, the last one we had in person, he just kept looking at me with a pleading face going, where are the women? And I'm like, this is the way it is. And so we are all challenged. So just for everyone who's already an MVP, we need more diversity. And if what's going on in the world doesn't tell us that as well, nothing else should. So, and I encourage, I forgot which one of you said it, but if you're part of the diverse program, then I would be glad to help you. But work with mentoring people, you always get a lot more out of it than not. So I've been on a journey to try to get more women involved. Starting last year, I started spreading that out beyond women to even more diversity. So it's something I challenge for all of us. But enjoy the high. It's a lot of fun. And you're lucky. All the Biz Apps people, and then Power BI, which is data platform, we are lucky we have DCI. So you could have all the speaking opportunities you want by just picking up the phone and calling them and say, I want to speak on something. And they'll say, hey, how about a webinar? And you're like, cool, got it. Seriously, that's the case. And for Peter and for Rory, you guys need to take this to some events as well. I think not just because it will do more for your cause and for your kids, but one of the things that you were talking about, it will charge up the true citizen developers into something of, hey, this is something I can do as well. So if Peter's 8-year-old's writing the Snuggie app, then I can do it.
Speaking of DCI, DCI is looking for some speakers for the Summit Europe event for Power Platform. So I will email you both the contact to submit a session. I think it would be great if you do a Power Apps for Kids session.
Oh, yeah, I totally agree with that. Yep. Thank you, Steve, by the way. I've already reached out and gave them a list of sessions. So that's it. So what else did you want to ask her, Mariano? Since we got her on the spot.
We have her on the spot now. So, tell us a little bit about your journey. You have 2 minutes to tell us.
Talk quick.
Yeah, I'm sure it could be a long journey, but needless to say, my background is accounting. I have 2 degrees in accounting. I started off as a controller, private accounting, got into database management by trying to automate processes that were very out of date, and started into SQL reporting, crystal reporting. And really just found a passion for databases, for making things more automated, and always loved teaching, but just really not an opportunity to teach. And so needless to say, I was extremely bored in accounting and decided to try the consulting end of it. Was very surprised to get my first consulting job. In fact, I was like, is this for real? I don't really think I know enough to do this, but they kind of just threw me at it. And I just have a passion for learning. I love to learn new things on my own. In fact, I taught myself Business Central. I'm teaching myself Dynamics 365 Finance right now. I can get into it, figure out the settings, troubleshoot it, and learn it. So the Microsoft platform, I just love it because I'm so passionate about it that I feel like it makes people's lives so much easier. And really started this, Steve, when he approached us and said, hey, do you want to be a woman MVP? I was like, I don't have a lot of free time to do that. And he's like, but you're already doing these things. You just need to do a little bit more. And I was like, oh, okay, we can probably do this. And so the blog posts, I had done that for work, but doing it personally, and being accountable for that and getting on Twitter and meeting other MVPs, like all of that has just been great. And also just networking at these conferences. I teach 6 to 7 sessions at these conferences, have conferences obviously that have been put on hold this year. But I just have a passion for teaching and being involved and helping others. It's one thing to be a consultant and be paid for it, but it's another thing to not be paid and to just love doing what you're doing and sharing with it. And so a lot of people come and say, well, I'm a Microsoft trainer, I'm this, and I should be an MVP. It's really about the community and giving back to the community and teaching other people like, hey, you could be an accountant, turn to an MVP. Like, it's possible. It just takes a lot of hard work. And then also just, being a volunteer, which is the biggest part.
So it's been a long experience for us, a long, journey for us. Obviously, we've been in this business as MVPs. I've been since 2008. Belinda, you've been since when? About 2010 or something like that?
9 years.
Yeah, something like that. Steve, you've been around for quite some time, but what does it feel like?
I actually was on a conference call when I got the email. So we applied back in the fall, and I think Microsoft was delayed because of COVID. And so we hadn't heard anything. And so I was waiting. Another friend had applied. She had found out she didn't get it. So I just assumed I didn't get it. And I was like, well, they forgot about me. I'm in some pile in the corner. Never will get it. And so I was actually on a conference call, and I saw the little email banner come up. And I saw congratulations MVP. And I almost fell out of my chair. In fact, I was on a conference call and I said, can you guys hold on a minute?
And I got a text.
I put it on mute, and I said, I can't breathe right now. And so I came back on and said, guys, we're going to have this, it was a coworker. So said, we have to have this call next week. I can't even think right now. I'm just floored. And I text Steve and a couple other people that had helped and just said, hey, this is like so shocking, but I just wanted to let you know. And especially Steve, thank you for just seeing that and mentoring me. Like, it really inspires me to mentor other people that I know could really do this, especially women in this area. So it's very surreal still. And in fact, I have people calling me like, oh, you're not picking up my calls because you're an MVP. I'm like, no, I'm, still me, just different title. But it's been really exciting. It's been kind of a whirlwind year for me with an acquisition and a whole bunch of other stuff going on too. So it made 2020 a lot better. That's for sure. So
well, we're a close-knit group. You have a close-knit group of friends. You could pick any MVP up. You can call them on the phone and say, hey, I'm an MVP for BC. And they're like, yeah, what can I do for you? And you have 3,000 new best friends.
It's crazy. So exciting. I mean, it's really just, it's unreal. And, I've been following people like Mariano, like Belinda, like Steve for years. So to know I'm part of this group is like very surreal. It'll take a while to sink in. But we are also starting, my friend Tanya and I are also starting a BC YouTube channel and live webinars, starting the BC Blondes, which will be interesting, but really showcasing that female part. And we think it'll be very fun. It'll be very informative. It'll be fun. We're going to take TRT and make it a little less geeky and make it a little bit more fun. But there isn't a lot of women doing these kind of channels and
accounting's like really hard.
Maybe not that level, but yeah, we're excited. I think there's a lot of exciting opportunities to come up, and I appreciate you guys having me on today. It's been a lot of fun.
Well, you guys need to make sure you reach out to mothers so that they know that their kids can learn Power Apps.
Absolutely.
And, and really make a difference with that. And so I love that concept so very much. And so
Thank you both.
Yeah, thank you both for coming and showing
Yeah,
us
you
that. And
guys
Shannon,
have
thank you
been-
for sharing the beginning of your journey with us. So,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Excited to be on here. Thank you guys for
You guys
inviting me.
rocked it out of the park today, so
Yeah.
thank you very much.
You
Appreciate
did.
your ending.
And Peter,
Lovely-
I don't know if
it's
it's
lovely.
because I've been confined so long, but watching his apps, I just started crying. I was like, oh.
You've
Well-
been confined too long, Belinda. But we love you, no worries.
What were you going to say, Rory?
Well, I think you just all you need to do now between now and the end of the day is just work out which soft cuddly toy to go to bed with tonight.
I'll get my dog.
Do you want me to send you the app?
Yeah, that would be
You have to
cool.
send- you
yeah,
have to
the
send the
Snuggie
cuddly
one.
toys as
Yes,
well.
I would like that. I could know. Oh, if the duck comes up, then I'm gonna get this pillow, and I could do that.
Well, the easy solution is you can download it from powerappsforkids.com,
Okay.
our website. So that's the best
I
place
have to
to go.
say, if your son develops the one for mixed drinks, you can send that my way. I could use that.
Oh, very good.
Well, you could do the same concept. So,
Maybe I could.
yeah,
Yeah,
'cause-
I mean, it would be a challenge for me. So
yeah, because
that could be
actually
fun.
Mariano put something on Facebook the other day, which had my two favorite drinks in it. I don't know where you were drinking Manhattans and Old Fashions, but wasn't that you? Was you who posted that, right?
Yeah, that
Mariano?
was me.
Yeah. So you could do the same thing, just post different drinks. And you should put a picture of you drinking it so that you could decide, oh no, I look way too drunk when I'm drinking that. So I better get something else because I'm going to be at a conference.
I really like that. I think that's a great one, Belinda.
Very good. Very good. Thank you, fellows. I appreciate you staying up late in the UK. What time is it there? About 9 or 10?
It's only 10
Just after
10
10
o'clock.
o'clock? Oh, that's pretty late for me. So I
They're
appreciate
just
you.
getting started.
Yeah. They've got that with the pints. Do we get bitters?
Exactly.
Do we get an ale? What do we get? Thank you so much, and thank you there, Steve and Mariano. Thank you, my co-host and friends. I appreciate you guys so very much, especially Steve. You have been helpful in the late morning hours and late night hours with your DMs back and forth about the crazy world. So I appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone, stay safe. And until next time, go to Power Apps for Kids. Check it out. I'm definitely going to do that. I'm going to try to build something for you guys with my granddaughter. I'm excited.
Wow.
At least
That'd
get
be
the
Very cool.
at least get the concept with her. So very excited about that. So everyone, take care.
Take
Bye
care,
now.
guys. Bye-bye.
There you go. Bye.